going on YouTube? How's everybody today? So today is another Saturday, so I'm going to do a Saturday review, which means I'm going to do a review on an album I bring out to DJ with me on Saturday. And I also got a request last night from Fishberto to review a Flaming Lips album because he wants to get into the Flaming Lips a little bit more. And the Flaming Lips album I bring out with me on Saturdays is Transmissions from a Satellite Heart, from the Satellite Heart, released in 1993 on Warner Brothers Records. And I think this is one of their first breakthrough albums. It has the song She Don't Use Jelly on it, which was on Beavis and Butthead and got a lot of radio play and MTV play. Had a very bizarre music video to accompany it, but it's also one of those cases where the hit single doesn't, reflect the rest of the album very well, because that's kind of like a mellow, weirder, like charming sing-along kind of song, and the rest of this album is pretty rock out, pretty loud affair, a lot of static and fuzz and noise and feedback and all kinds of weird special effects are going on. It's a very quirky, bizarre alternative rock album. It has a lot of distortion and shit. Flaming Lips is a quartet, I think. They got a very revolving lineup. They formed in 1983 in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And before this album came out, they had their guitarist quit, and they just enlisted a new guitarist and a new drummer, and some critics are saying that's what gave the Flaming Lips a renewed sense of energy, because these guys have been making music forever. This is actually their sixth studio album, I think their second major label album. I think I wrote that down, I think that's right. But yeah, it's very much so like a very not straightforward rock and roll kind of, very unique sound. Like I said, it's like their breakthrough record. Like, it has a whole bunch of like monstrous big guitars and trippy sound effects and loud fuzz, and has like Wayne Coyne's, kind of Thim's whimsy little singing voice underneath it all. But it's got a lot of production. It's got a lot of layers. It's not all soft and mellow like a lot of their later stuff is. It's very much so like a more rock and roll structured, album. Artwork's pretty weird. It's them in their jam space, and they got some lady to distort the pictures and make them look all crazy and druggy. It's the back right here. It's got some sort of pie chart or something going on. More crazy pictures of them in the jam space here. Sort of kaleidoscope effect, I guess. All the speakers are exaggerated size and stuff too. I would imagine a lot of this music was probably drug-induced too. I couldn't really find too much information if these guys were taking like hallucinogenics or anything back then, but they probably were. If anyone knows anything about that, comment, I guess. But yeah, it's still got their typical, like, it's very lush and multi-layered, but it's also got a lot of loud guitars and stuff. They're kind of typical back in the 90s grunge too, where everything was like a rock and roll guitar cockfest. But they also incorporate, pianos and weird sound effects, like I already said. But yeah, it's got weird, catchy melodies. Some people said this is an acquired taste. I definitely think you have to listen to it a couple times to appreciate it, though, because otherwise you're just going to think it's some sort of, just some noisy rock and roll record. But you have to really re-listen to it to catch on to the charm and, all the weird lyrics. Because Wayne Coyne's the kind of guy who'll just do like stream of consciousness weird lyrics, like putting a moth in the incubator and spaceships crashing into zebras and all kinds of like weird hippie shit. It's probably one of my favorite albums by them too. I'm not a big Flaming Lips guy or anything. I have a couple of their albums, but this is easily one of my favorite ones though, because it's got a whole bunch of like weird, catchy songs on it. I especially like the last song a lot. I like playing I can't remember what it's called, Slow Nerve Action. Yeah, it's got a couple, like, it's a pretty solid record. Some songs linger a little too much in like this kind of hippie, like, malaise, where it's a little, mid-tempo, slow tempo songs, and it's just acoustic guitars. But for the most part, it's a very much so like weird album. And I've been doing a lot of these weird 90s albums, I guess. I did a Ween album, I did a Spooky Reuben album, and yeah, Flaming Lips fits perfectly well just in that category. Transmission from the Satellite Heart by the Flaming Lips, 1993, Warner Brothers Records. Anti-mainstream music. Peace.